Okay, good morning, everyone. The time is now 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I would like to welcome you to our Salon speaker series for the HBCU Data Science Consortium. So we are meeting today on April 16th, 2021. And I want to go over a couple of housekeeping rules just to kind of give you some background on how things will go today. So you will hear from our speaker, who I will introduce in just a second. He will talk for about 40, 45 minutes. And then at that point, we will have a Q&A. So feel free to type your questions in the Q&A section. You can also use the chat box if you wish to communicate with each other or post ideas or links. And then we will close out by letting you know what's coming up next for the next month or so. So our speaker today is Dr. Richard Allo. Richard Allo is a dean and professor here at Florida A&M University in the School of Science and Technology. Dr. Allo has very extensive research, including business, big data analytics, a bunch of things I cannot pronounce, but I will let him talk about it. He is the past dean of science, engineering, and technology at Jackson State University. Was also a program director for the National Science Foundation. Many awards and attributes to his names. So we are very excited to hear from him today. And at this point, I will turn things over to Dr. Allo to begin his presentation and introduce himself.
Okay. Thank you, Jason. Can you hear me okay? Okay, let me get rid of that. Okay. So, yes, hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Richard Allo, and I have the honor of being the Dean for Science and Technology here at FAMU. I really applaud this endeavor of the HBCU Data Science Consortium, as this is a great opportunity for our HBCUs to advance broadening participation in STEM and to assist overcoming the vast underrepresentation of historically underrepresented minorities and especially African Americans at the PhD level. In this first slide, I do want to emphasize that third line there, advancing new modalities for education, learning, and research. Big data is allowing us to do this. And also we're learning from the pandemic more about how to do this.
Dr. Allo, can you share your slides again?
Oh, wow. Okay. You can't see them?
No, just.
Hey, Carlos. Let me go back. Can you? Okay, wait a minute. We got to get rid of this screen here. Oh, here we go. This one. Oh, okay, got it. Okay, is that better, Jason? Can you see that?
Yes, that's perfect.
Oh, thank you. But you did hear but I was on the audio, right?
Yes,
okay.
We heard you, yes.
Okay, great, thank you. Carlos, okay, let me see. Okay, so here's a little bit about my positions that Jason's told you about, and here's my responsibilities when I was at the National Science Foundation. I was very proud to be privileged to present to President Obama 3 groups of outstanding mentors, and proud to have worked on the NSF component of what we're going to talk about today, the dawning of big data science. So again, congratulations for providing new trajectories for historically underrepresented minorities. I think big data studies with this new field come the need for engaging social and behavioral sciences. So I'm very glad to see that this second bullet there is out and being announced by NSF. And then we have some other, because this really shows the importance of the social and behavioral sciences, especially today, when we have so much misinformation and disinformation promulgated through social media, which undermines the validity and veracity of scientific information, public health information, et cetera. So here's the agenda. I do want to show you the landscape by taking you on a journey over the last 50 years or so. Recent dawning of big data science, how that then started the melting of the AI winter, how big data provides a significant way to broaden participation in STEM. And there's an art factor also to big data methods. So I also want to show you a recognized master's PhD curriculum and research fields here at FAMU. The first part I'll go over rather quickly because I do want to get to the curriculum and show you some examples there. And if time permits, I would even like to map for you how we produce a PhD dissertation in big data. For especially non-STEM majors. I think this is the opportunity for broadening participation where we can not only just improve the landscape or improve the participation of African Americans, but not just in STEM, but even from non-STEM majors. So I'd like to put the context behind the content for you all. That is my intention. So big data science and engineering birthed in 2012 when it was dubbed computational and data-enabled science and engineering. This was an announcement by the Obama administration. It was an announcement by the Obama administration through the Office of Science and Technology Policy in March of 2012. 2 years before that announcement, the Office of Science and Technology Policy asked NSF to focus on providing a solicitation to launch research in big data, to provide an alternative path to the PhD, and to create a national research traineeship program. I had the privilege to work on all of these. Big data, large diverse sets of information that grow at ever increasing rates. We will give examples in a moment. Big data can be structured, unstructured, hybrid. My semi-autonomous Volvo XC60 has sonar, radar, video, other sensors, lots and lots of hybrid data. The graphics says it all. Educating data scientists requires integrating the above tools from math, statistics, computing, visualization, problem solving. Data engineering and wrangling bring art to data science, as data scientists must incorporate various languages, database design, and ways to transform data. As big data was being born in March of 2012, artificial intelligence winter began to heat up, mostly due to the automobile industry, creating robotic assembly lines, semi-autonomous and autonomous vehicles. And before that, NASA needed to teach astronauts how to fly. And so my students were involved in building the second cave, the computer-assisted virtual environment for NASA at Johnson Space Center. So advanced driving assistance systems are the hot item in the new car industry. I am anxious to try the new automated lane changing on the new Cadillacs and other cars coming out. But these are some of the features that you have on these autonomous, semi-autonomous vehicles. But they present huge amounts of big data. And as you can see, this is coming from our cars. Tesla has huge amounts of autonomous vehicle data, driving data in the cloud, huge amounts of it that with the risk analysis that goes on up there, it's amazing how accurate that driving system can be. So before I get into the nuts and bolts of big data, let me breeze through a few slides showing the potential the new discipline brings for all of our students across the curriculum. So this is the Department of Labor points out that this is the top job market and will be for some time. These are essential tools needed by the big data scientists. They are indefinitely not math nor computer scientists as such, but they use their tools. Data scientists create knowledge from big data to assist decision makers. Creating knowledge from big data. That was the Office of Science and Technology Policy statement during the Obama administration. Create knowledge from big data and assist the people working at the bench, for example, to advance their work. So hence, data scientists use both critical and analytical thinking. An important set of workforce positions allowing our communities we serve the opportunity to economically and socially advance. These are the various titles that data scientists enjoy when they go out and work in industry. Notice the salaries are very wonderful. And so what a great opportunity for our young people to get into this field make a difference. We want to see our underrepresented minorities 5 years, 10 years down the road at the table making the decisions. More of the same. In industry, data scientists are called by many titles, as you can see. But now the tragedy is this: 3.8% of the 3,957 PhDs awarded in 2016 went to African Americans. But data science can help make a big difference in this. How? Allow me to take you on a journey showing how we propose motivating and educating young people in data science. As you will see, data science is an interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary, new discipline. Its nature forces us to discuss, design, and implement new modalities of learning, curriculum design, and implementation. Hence, we have new avenues to follow to achieve broadening participation in STEM by providing data science degrees to non-traditional STEM students also. By the way, we called it at NSF computational and data-enabled science and engineering. If you parse that, it says the new science and the new engineering enabled by data and enabled by computation. Let's clear up right away the differences between data science and big data science. For my students, I tell them data science is like spreadsheet analysis versus big data focused on huge data sets. Like 20 years of complete data on the profit universities as we analyze predatory practices in the finance industry. Well, that was one of our projects for one of my doctoral students. Or 10 years of satellite data provided by NASA when we were in Houston to discover the locations of the deserts on Earth using visual analytics. We worked on both of these. What was amazing out of that last study is that the largest deserts on Earth are over the oceans and over Antarctica. So beyond the artificial intelligence winter, big data is a big deal. It is what helped us heat up the winter. To be useful, artificial intelligence needs big data. And so here's Marvin Minsky, and then that in the 1960s coined the word artificial intelligence. He created the concept of artificial neural networks. And then the late 80s instigated the AI winter because industry at that time was dissatisfied with AI, did not meet their expectations. This is the wife of Joe Traub, a novelist in her own right, Pamela McCordick. She made a beautiful statement about artificial intelligence, audacious effort to duplicate in an artifact what we consider to be our most important property, our intelligence. Al Perlis in the 1970s, Carnegie Mellon had major influences on my trajectory. Then and thereafter, Al Perlis defined computer science, a field defined by mathematicians, engineers, psychologists, political scientists, actually. Joe Traub defined parallel processing. His wife, Pamela McCordick, gave that definition. But here is the good definition of artificial intelligence. The colloquial representation is probably the easiest to understand. This is mimicking cognitive functions associated with the human mind. So I'm really giving you a pathway to big data, primer, as I call it. Why did it take until 2012 to birth this new field? Well, the heritage behind this debut provides those entering the field some perspective, some context on why and how this field is so interdisciplinary and depends on advances in communication systems. And now we are at new thresholds as we advance beyond von Neumann architectures, as you will see. So let's follow the path to see how big data science was led to be born. These are the scientists that I worked with that played fundamental roles in thinking and making it happen. In 1972, Joe Traub, over here, can you see my arrow? Okay. 1972, Joe Traub at Carnegie Mellon got the idea to put VAX PDP-11s in parallel to recognize patterns, images, as the photos taken by the United States Air Force U-2 planes flying 80,000 feet over the Soviet Union, advancing high-performance computing significantly. In 1990, Ken Kennedy and Richard Tapia over at Rice University received an NSF Science and Technology grant for their Center for Research in Parallel Computation. In 1997, Larry Smarr at Urbana-Champaign proposed and obtained a $100 million NSF grant to connect all the supercomputers together in the Partnership for Advanced Computational Infrastructure. And after 10 years was bought away by the state of California to work on advancing visualization tools in his California Institute of Telecommunications and Information Technology, called CalIT2, and now is promoting the National Research Platform. I had the privilege of working with all of these, and right now we're working with Larry on this National Research Platform, and I hope we can get our HBCUs connected to that, which I'll be showing you later. But you need, this was what was needed. We needed to have communication between the supercomputing centers. And this is what started the cyber infrastructure then. So during those times, we were teaching students to build expert systems. We were teaching them neural networks, feedback loops, fuzzy logic, fuzzy controllers. These are forerunners and help us to better understand how machine learning developed. We were working on inclusion all the time, getting the National Science Foundation to fund the last mile to your campus, and then empowering MSIs to build and enhance their cyber infrastructure. And we're working on something very similar like that now. I hope I get a chance to tell you about it at the end. In 1995, the US Army Research Office wanted to promote artificial intelligence to automate the semi-autonomous, semi-automatic ground forces. We were asked to use AI to undertake decision-making when uncertainty occurs due to unexpected phenomena. Note the names of my colleagues here at FAMU. We've been working together for a long time. The first inclusion effort, this was the first inclusion effort made by the Army Research Office to create a consortium to include HBCUs, HSIs, and with a majority institution to mentor us. This is like a big data science primer. I hope it puts all into perspective and context for you. These developments were undertaken with inclusion in mind, getting minority serving institutions faculty trained in parallel processing, bringing minority students, minority serving institutions to join ADME, which was one of the groups that we founded, the Association for Departments of Computer Information Science and Engineering at Minority Institutions. With data science, we must push inclusion again. We compliment again the team putting this consortium together. Notice that NASA in 1993 was advancing virtual environments for training, mission planning, etc. This is the cave that I told you about that my students, actually was the second cave, computer-assisted virtual environment that we built there at the Johnson Space Center. All of these pieces came together in 2003 with the recognition in the Atkins report and the definition of cyber infrastructure, which we all need if we're going to get into big data. And now our efforts are working on getting our HBCUs onto the National Research Platform. And there's Larry Smarr in the picture, and he is the PI on that grant. And I will explain in a moment. So here's a sample program. So here is, we're going to talk a little bit about machine learning, deep learning. Machine learning acts like the hand water pump, where one primes it with water to get more abundance, and it provides the basis for excuse me, for predictive analytics, which can lead to prescriptive analytics, really a field created by AI, through deep learning when we start looking at patterns. Here you can see how artificial intelligence becomes functional when you have big data, and an asset since it needs big data to analyze the patterns. These are the tools. Python is a jewel as we try to entice non-STEM majors into big data science. Python is the language of choice and provides success in programming for larger groups that may otherwise have been overwhelmed by C++. And R comes hand in hand with Python, a statistical language, generating a whole new subject in statistics, being developed over at Rice University, statistical machine learning. Here we see the differences between cleaning and wrangling, and this is where the art comes in. Notice how our objective in data science education, let me tell you, it works, as you will see in a moment. So read the objective. Produce highly competent graduates with terminal degrees who will join the workforce in industry, academia, state, and federal agencies, and will assume future leadership roles in computing-centric and big data fields. That was the objective given to us by the Office of Science and Technology Policy when they asked NSF to create the solicitation in computational and data-enabled science and engineering. So here are the core courses for a master's or a PhD program that we suggest. They need to be designed as transition courses for non-computer science, non-math majors at the graduate level. People often question me, how can you do this? Well, today we have all kinds of new modalities around us that graduate students, which are dedicated, high initiative, can pick this up because they go outside of the classroom, they can read the content, they need to get involved in context. There are Coursera courses to help supplement MOOC courses. That's what they do. And it is possible, as I will show you from some of my doctoral students. Such programs need to be project and internship based. Here are some examples that my doctoral students followed. But let me just go back. I pointed out what those core courses are there, as you can see, okay? But then to that, you need to add math and statistic electives to provide the interdisciplinary collaborations so that when you go into the domain area, you can have the essential skills to work in the domain area. You know, the way I look at a dissertation in big data science, is you come up with a big problem with lots of data, and then you take the tools that you need to solve it, okay? It's a little different than going after a PhD in biology or a PhD in chemistry, the dissertation I mean, the approach. Okay, so here are some internship examples that students can do while they're taking their courses. So here I had students at the Mississippi Department of Public Health using GIS data. Here with the Toyota of Mississippi up in near Tupelo, which produces like 200,000 cars a day, totally robotic assembly line. And that's where they build the hydrogen cars also, by the way. So here are my PhD graduate students. I just want to show you this quickly. Look at where they, when you go down 1, 2, 3, the very first thing you see is the discipline they came from: chemistry, economics, international business. But look at what they did. Roman, who is now up at Carnegie Mellon and had a postdoc also at North Carolina, Chapel Hill, was using his computational chemistry tools and deep learning to synthetic drug development. Duber, coming from economics, who is doing a postdoc at the University of Pennsylvania Medical School for 2 years, and now moving to Washington University Medical School and working on Alzheimer's disease. But that was one of the internships with my colleagues down here at Florida International University, studying Alzheimer's, the ADNI data, the Alzheimer's disease neuroimaging data that Malik Ajawadi at Florida International University is doing. But his PhD was on molecular quantitative trait loci analysis, looking for genetic factors associated with prostate cancer, and discovered genetic and environmental causes for that. Interesting, coming from these various backgrounds and now producing results on societal problems. Michael, clinical psychologist, really enjoyed him, really enjoyed what his interest and his drive. And now he's up at NIH and he has one of their Pathway to Independence Awards. The last three are computer scientists, and one working Volvo USA, another working at Silicon Valley, Cisco, okay? And the last getting their degree in the summer. So here are some research activities here that I'll tell you about. Very quickly, though, because I do want to show you, I'd like to map for you a PhD dissertation process. Here we are. We have a, um, a good amount of AI and data science activity in our College of Agriculture and Food Science. We have some wonderful people over there that I have been able to talk to and work with, and we've been working on an artificial intelligence institute in decision intelligence with applications in agriculture. Um, so be, Emerging from commerce, artificial intelligence, machine language, machine learning have pushed decision sciences into what we now call decision intelligence, a new field, okay? And very, with lots of applications in agriculture. Here are some areas that my team is working on here in the College of Science and Technology. Some of this is funded by the Google LLC COVID-19 Artificial Intelligence and Data Science for Social Good Fund. Notice the social media analysis, and notice techniques for failure data analysis, and notice IoT security for security for IoT devices. Some current research, decision analysis applications in agriculture. You can see there's supply chain in research in agriculture going on. You can also see tools to address how to transfer and when to transfer information, but a whole set of things. We have a lot of activity. In putting together the proposal to join the National Research Platform, I asked faculty across the campus about their research objectives, and I was amazed how much work is being done, research is being done in data science, big data science. Here is our work with the racial and ethnic disparities amongst African Americans and Hispanics in the COVID-19 study. Here's New Learning and Research Center that we built in data science for AI, making major new advances and so those are the kinds of research areas that are being looked at. We have two very beautiful LiDAR-equipped drones helping us with working with USDA Forestry Service data pre and post hurricane. Using machine learning, here is work being done by our biology and chemistry departments. I told you I was very, very impressed with the amount of work going on across campus. Using machine learning also by our engineering college. For inclusion, we need to help our HBCUs to advance their cyber infrastructure. So if we can do that, then probably we can do things with you like we did previously with Elizabeth City, where we hooked them up. We got their cyber infrastructure in place. We hooked these undergraduate students up using our visualization walls to the Science and Technology Center in Kansas City that is studying the melting of the glaciers in Greenland. Actually, we took them on a trip to Greenland too to actually see this. But anyway, this was part of the MSI, Minority Serving Institution Cyber Infrastructure Empowerment Coalition that I was PI on. And my co-PIs were NAFIO, HACU, Hispanic Association of Colleges and Universities, and AHAC, the American Indian Higher Education Consortium. We built a similar thing on the Navajo Nation, and where the students built the visualization walls, and those students are hooked up to Ames through the cyber infrastructure, NASA Ames on the West Coast, and they are actually watching Mars through the Mars rover. Exciting, isn't it? But we need to provide an equal playing field for all of us. And so here is a project that we're working on right now. My Minority Serving Institution Cyber Infrastructure Empowerment Coalition has been sunsetted. And so now we're working with Alabama A&M, FAMU, Jackson State, Clemson, and some others, and Internet 2, to build a new cyber infrastructure consortium for HBCUs. You'll be hearing more about this. You may have already received, your institution more than likely already received the survey that we all sent out, okay? Uh, and we will be having some major announcements soon. Here's what I was telling you about. This is the National Research Platform. This is an award to Berkeley and San Diego, to Larry Smart, and that we are working with bringing this to our HBCUs here on the East Coast. And so you can see where Florida is, and we want to be a hub. We want to be in that. We want to be able to deliver 40G, 100G, 400G, like they're doing in the scenic network out in the state of California. They're doing that to all of the community colleges and the Cal State system. It's amazing. And to the schools. Here are the tools that San Diego and Google have put together. This is the Fionas. You'll hear more about these, the Fionets, tools that bring big data to your laptop, okay? All of these tools, I should just show you these so you're familiar with the words, and the major effort by Google, okay? These are the walls. Metaphorically, microscopically, they can telescopically, metaphorically speaking, they can microscopically, telescopically present views of big data. Think of using this to hook up to the MD Anderson Cancer and Tumor Center in Houston, and looking at a slice of a brain tumor in a classroom. And you can just like a big microscope view it. Beautiful. These were developed at Cal IT2 by Larry Smart. Here we started at FAMU, a plus program for undergraduate students. Competitively selected students were paying them a stipend to take an additional course per semester. And those courses are like cohort 1 started last semester taking Python. Now they're in their second semester taking R and machine language. Hopefully this will go to a third and fourth semester. And then we'd like them to, in the summer, work on data. So for example, we have faculty already working on the Google grant. And so I would like those students to work this summer with the faculty on that Google data. Here is some beautiful architectures worth inspecting. I want to really go to the next one. This is another one. So this is an architecture, might blow your mind. Think about it. Will AI bring forward telepathic communication? Let me see. I think I have some time. I wonder if I can bring it up. Oh, no. Wait a minute. Probably, let me see. Probably I can do that at the end. I don't want to mess up the screen right now. So let me see here. Go back 1 minute, excuse me. Okay, we talked about the plus pro. Okay. Hopefully I can show this to you at the end. What this architecture is, they've taken the brainwaves of a pig that's on a treadmill and using those brainwaves and machine learning, deep learning, and predicting what the pig is going to do. And actually predicting and prescripting what the pig can do, the options, okay? That's amazing, okay? Another project that we're going to be doing this summer is the Big Data Artificial Intelligence, RU Summers research experience for undergraduates. We hope we can get quite a few students in this. Now, if I could map a dissertation for you, I'd like to show you what might happen. This is actually one of the dissertations of one of my students. So first of all, the study was to identify driver novel genes that induce prostate cancer. You know, the beauty of big data and big data degrees, PhD degrees, is you have two advisors. you know, the advisor that advises you on the tools, computing and mathematics. That was me in this case. But then the advisor that is the domain advisor, and this was for this young man, this was someone in our biology department there at Jackson State who you know, worked at the bench on prostate cancer, breast cancer. So identify the driver novel genes that induce prostate cancer due to environmental or hereditary factors. Okay, so this is how you mix fields to create knowledge. Look at the computing tools he used. Look at the statistical tools he used. Look at the domain tools he used, okay? Then we go to applying to the domain. He was an economics major. He studied statistics with me at the University of Houston, and then went on to Jackson State to get his PhD. Didn't know what he really wanted to do. He started off in public health, but then moved to big data. So then this is where you apply to the domain. Now, here is, you know, when you do a dissertation or you do big data, the methods are extremely important. The method you use is also a publishable paper because nobody has these methods. And that's what we want, to get the methods out. As I tell my students, big data is modeling, okay? Yeah, you do some programming, but it's not computer science. It's about modeling problems. And so you come up with your method. Here's the methodological scheme model. And here, as we go through that model, you see the data gathering and processing. As we continue on the model, you see the data normalization. As you continue on the model, you see how we get the differential expressed gene selection. And then you create a biological network. Here's a relationship between the genes tentatively responsible for that prostate cancer onset, okay? And then these are the software tools that were used. So you need to know the tools, okay? And then we go into association analysis. We will use genotype probability converted into dosages after population to be top med R2 reference panel. I'm not going to go through, I'll let you read that because I think I'm running out of time. Okay, but you do use association analysis to put it all together. And then we use genome-wide analysis studies, and that's at the meta level, okay? And then we're looking at within the disease. Now, let me show you I want to get to some of the results and how we show the results. So here's the meta-analysis that went on and the alternative approaches that we looked at. Oh, I was going to show, I thought I had the results. Oh, I didn't put the results there, but anyway, what that led to was 44 genetic and environmental factors at the root of prostate cancer in men. But then we discovered there were groups of those 44 that were significant in myelogenous cancer in adults and also in breast cancer in females. Okay, so I hope that gave you a flavor of the background of how we got to big data and then what we can do with big data. I do think we have a tremendous opportunity to broaden participation. I think this is an opportunity where our historically represented minorities, our African-American young people, whether they're STEM or non-STEM majors, can make a big, big contribution to society. And some of the big data problems that if you're thinking about it, just go look at the National Academy's grand challenges. Each of those is a big data problem. There's about 15, 20 of them. Okay, thank you so much. Any questions? How did I do for time, Jason?
Oh, no, that was perfect. Perfect.
I actually 11:39.
That's right.
Oh.
No, that was great on time, and we appreciate that. That was some really good information.
Oh, can I show that? I'd like to show that. Do you mind if I show that architecture?
Sure, sure.
I think it will. I hope. Let me see. You can't see this, huh? Do you see? Wait a minute.
Okay.
Carlos, you want to get it? Wait a minute. Here, put it over here.
Mhm.
Okay. Right
Yeah,
here.
there we go. We see that.
Okay. Where do I start it? Here. Watch this.
Hey,
Okay. Wait.
we are going to read some minds. A few months ago, our first video appeared on brain-machine interfaces. It was about a paper from Neuralink which promised a great deal. For instance, they proposed a brain-machine interface that could read this pig's thoughts
Can you hear this?
as
Okay.
it was running on the treadmill. And what's more,
Yes, we
they
hear.
not only read its thoughts, but they could also predict what the pig's brain is about to do. So this was about reading thoughts related to movement. And to be able to use these brain-machine interfaces to the fullest, they should be able to enable some sort of communication for people who have lost their ability to move or speak. So what about writing or speaking? As impossible as it sounds, can we somehow restore that, or is that still science fiction? Many of you told me that you would like to hear more about this topic, so due to popular request, here it is, a look beyond Neuralink's project to see what else is out there. This is a collaboration between Stanford University and a selection of other institutions, and it allows brain-to-text transcription, where all the test subject has to do is imagine writing the letters, and they magically appear on the screen. And now start holding on to your papers and just look at how quickly it goes. 90 characters per minute with over 94% of accuracy, which can be improved to over 99% accuracy with an additional autocorrect technique. That is absolutely amazing, a true miracle. 90 characters per minute means that the test subject here, who has a paralyzed hand, can almost think about writing these letters continuously, and most of them are decoded and put on the screen in less than a second. Also, wait a second, 90 characters per minute, that is about 80% as fast as the average typing speed on a smartphone screen for an able-bodied person of this age group. Whoa! It is quite remarkable that even years after paralysis, the motor cortex is still strong enough to be read by a brain-computer interface well enough for such typing speed and accuracy. It truly feels like we are living in a science fiction world. Of course, not even this technique is perfect. It has its own limitations. For instance, we can't edit or delete text, have no access to capital letters, and the method has a calibration step that takes a long time, although it doesn't get significantly worse if we shorten this calibration time a bit. So, how does this work? First, the participant starts thinking of writing one letter at a time. Here you see the recorded neural activity. This is subject to decoding. You can see the decoded signals here. And we can't just give this to a computer to distinguish between them as is. We project these into a 2D latent space where it is easy to find which letter corresponds to which region. Look, they form relatively tight clusters, and therefore it is now easy to decide which of the squiggles corresponds to which letter. The decoding part is done using a recurrent neural network which is endowed with memory and can deal with sequences of data. So here in goes the brain activity, and out comes the decision that says which character these activities correspond to. Of course, our alphabet was not designed to be decoded with neural networks. So here is an almost science fiction-like question: how do we reformulate the alphabet to tailor it to maximize the efficiency of a neural network decoding our thoughts? Or simpler, what would the alphabet look like if neural networks were in charge? Well, this paper has an answer to that too, so let's have a look. The squiggles indeed look like they came from another planet, so what do we gain from this? Well, look at the distance matrix for the English alphabet. The diagonal is supposed to be very blue, but what is not supposed to be blue at all are the regions that surround it. Look, the blue color here means that in the English alphabet, the letters M and N can be relatively easily confused. Same with the letters O and C, and there are many more similarities. And now, look, here is the same distance matrix for the optimized alphabet. No dark blue in sight outside the diagonal. Much easier to process and decode. If neural networks were in charge, this is what the alphabet would look like. Glorious. Also, the fact that we are talking about squiggles is not a trivial insight at all. Traditional methods typically rely on movement in straight lines to select letters and buttons. The other key thought in this paper is that modern neural network-based methods can decode these thoughts of squiggles reliably. That is absolutely amazing. And wait a second, note that there is only one participant in the user study. Why just one participant? Why not call in a bunch of people to test this? It is because this method uses a microelectrode array, and this requires surgery to insert, and because of that, these studies are difficult to perform and are usually done at times when the participant has brain surgery anyways for other reasons. Having more people in the study is usually prohibitively expensive, if at all possible, for this kind of brain implant. And note that research is a process, and these papers are stepping stones. And now we are able to have people write 90 characters every minute with a brain-machine interface, and I can only imagine how good these techniques will become 2 more papers down the line. And don't forget, there are research works on non-invasive devices too. So, what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. What a time to be alive! This episode has been supported by Lambda GPU Cloud. If you're looking for inexpensive cloud GPUs for AI, check out Lambda GPU Cloud. They've recently launched Quadro RTX 6000, RTX 8000, and V100 instances, and hold on to your papers because Lambda GPU Cloud can cost less than half of AWS and Azure. Plus, they are the only cloud service with 48 gigabyte RTX 8000. Join researchers at organizations like Apple, MIT, and Caltech in using Lambda cloud instances, workstations, or servers. Make sure to go to lambdalabs.com/papers to sign up.
Okay, is that mind-blowing?
Wow, that's amazing.
Are we in the world of, what was it, HAL, 2001 or something?
Right. That's what I was thinking. Or iRobot or something.
Oh, I love
awesome.
it. I love it.
Yeah.
This is, that's why I keep telling our graduate students, it would be great starting all over again. They're at the frontier. Everybody
so
starting now has a tremendous future.
That's all right. I know that is truly amazing. So we do have some questions in our
Sure,
Q&A,
go ahead.
and I do encourage everyone else, if you have other questions, to please type them in the Q&A. We have one question. What is the difference, in your opinion, between an applied mathematics well-equipped with these tools, very versed in modeling and statistical analysis, and a big data scientist?
Oh, well, the big data scientist is not just a statistician. I mean, he has statistical tools, but the computing tools are just as important, and knowledge of Hadoop and clusters and these other softwares are very, very important. That's why I showed that diagram at the beginning there when we went back. It is really a discipline on its own. It's a new field. So yes, you could have a lot of statistics background, but that's not going to do it by itself. You need the computing tools that are out there. And, eventually you do get into various types of high performance computing. You might, it's good to have some knowledge of parallel processing as you keep moving forward as a researcher. Okay. And you might even go back after having, used Python and advanced Python. You might even then find out that you want to go back to C++, learn C++, but at least Python gets you into it. And advanced Python allows you to even go deeper into it.
Thank you. Another question is, do you still accept applications for the summer REU this summer?
Yes, yes. And I don't know, Byron Green is our director for the Lewis B. Florida, Georgia, Lewis B. Stokes Alliance for Minority Participation. And it's being sponsored by our Florida, Georgia AMP program. And I believe the applications are still open. I think they don't close until the 20th or so. The date probably was on that brochure. But yeah, we're still looking. And even after that date, I imagine if we haven't filled the positions, we'd still be accepting. Yes.
Okay,
And
great.
we're, by the way, let me just say for people that are interested in that, we're really excited about that because let me tell you, it's not just our faculty teaching the Python and, machine learning and all of that, but we're also in collaboration with Jeffrey Fox over at Indiana, who has already been creating lots of modules in using deep learning in various fields. And various types of modules on machine learning, deep learning, but also we'll be working with some people from Purdue will be guest lecturers and some people from San Diego will be guest lecturers. So it'll be a program where we will have the coursework, but we'll also have speakers from these various organizations. It's a very good networking opportunity for young people.
Thank you. And for those that are interested in getting more information about that, Dr. Byron Green's email is in the chat, so you can reach out to him to get more information about the REU. Also, I will get in touch with Byron to see if we can also push that out through our channels through the consortium as well.
Sure.
So one question I have is collaboration. So a lot of the people on this call are probably interested in finding out more about how HBCUs can get involved in some of the projects that are happening at other HBCUs. So what advice do you have for HBCUs that are on the call that might be interested in learning more about how to collaborate with FAMU on some of the activities and projects?
We would love that. We would really love that. So for example, right now on our COVID-19 project with Google, we're collaborating with Shaw University, and they may be on here, by the way. I invited Dorothy Brown, who used to be dean up at North Carolina A&T, dean of the School of Public Health up there, but she's now at Shaw as a research associate. So we're working with Dorothy there and people up in Boston on a project. So we do collaborate, and they can contact me directly and tell me what their interest is. I would. So my email is richard.alo, A-L-O, @famu.edu. But in the subject line, please, I get so many emails, but in the subject, as you can imagine, in the subject line, put the heading, big data collaboration, okay? And, we're collaborating with Tuskegee University, for example, with Tennessee State. We collaborate with Jackson State. We're always interested in that. As you can see, through my career, we've been very much involved in trying to advance HBCUs and HSIs.
Now, you mentioned Python and R as courses that departments that may not necessarily be heavily technical might want to consider making a foundation language for their students to learn about data analysis.
Yes.
So which would you recommend among those two? If there's a department that is either thinking about business analytics or maybe data analytics from a health information standpoint, which of those two do you think they should stress more, R or Python?
Yeah, okay. Start with Python. I think the idea of getting students engaged, it's a nice language, okay? And, but, depending upon like in the health areas and where you're going to be doing a lot of statistical analysis, R goes hand in hand. So I don't want to exclude, R from it. I would push on both of them, And that's what we're doing with these undergraduate students, by the way, that I mentioned in the bachelor's degree, the BS Plus program. I was really impressed or really amazed once we started that program that I found that in our speakers series that we have every week, funded by the Florida Georgia AMP program, that Georgia Tech has done a BS Plus program, and so is Duke. So I think that's catching on around the country, and I'd be glad to share with the members of this community, how we've organized that in the course material. By the way, uh, in that direction, the REU this summer, those lectures are going to be videotaped. Okay. And so they will meet virtually with the students. Of course, we'll be in a virtual environment. They will meet virtually with the students, and we will tape and record these. So we're planning to push these even further beyond the summer REU. It's very it's kind of serendipity sitting right in front of us in the following sense. When we wrote that proposal to NSF, which was more than a year and a half ago, was before the pandemic, and and in that we talked about three of NSF's big ideas that we would work on. One was includes, meaning reach out, to our minority institutions. But the other was harnessing the data revolution. And since the Florida Lewis B. Stokes AMP consists of 14 institutions, we talked about we needed to build community. So we talked about doing this all virtually. And this was before the pandemic. And here we are. I'm telling you, we didn't bring this on, I hope. But we will be doing this virtually.
That's wow. That's interesting. So do we have time for maybe one more question? Are there any other questions from the audience?
And by the way, if anybody has questions that they want to send me, again, just send it to me my email. But in the subject line, probably a good thing would put, HBCU Big Data Consortium, something like that, so I can pick it out. Okay. But Jason, I really want to thank you and the group for inviting me. This was a real pleasure. This is great stuff. This is a great opportunity for young people. At Jackson State, when we started the program, when I left, there were 44 students in the program, the PhD program. So I think it's a great opportunity to push this, and I think we can do great things for overcoming the vast underrepresentation at the PhD level. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. And we thank you too for your presentation. It was very, very informative. So much data there, no pun intended. I do have one question that just slipped in from this is from a Kevin Brown, who's a 20-year big data and cloud computing architect professional at Microsoft.
Exciting.
He's searching for a PhD or a DBA in computer science, data science, AI, ML, business analytics. It would prefer to attend an HBCU. Does FAMU have these degree programs, and can anyone recommend some program options?
Well, we're moving on putting our masters in, hopefully within the next year, and the PhDs shortly thereafter. Okay, in big data. The one at Jackson State that I started, when I was going back in the past few weeks looking at it, it won some awards. So I'm real excited about it, that it got recognized as one of the top 10 programs in the country. And I hope we can replicate part of that. The real thrust behind that was to be able to create transition courses at the graduate level to bring students from non-STEM fields. Not that they couldn't come from STEM fields, as you saw from my students, but the humanities uses big data, the social sciences, forensic sciences. So you've got to be able to attract people from other areas.
All right. So I believe our time is well spent. So we do thank you again, Dr. Allo. We will definitely be in touch on some ways that we can collaborate. And
okay.
I'm
glad to do it.
Push your work forward, as well as get some assistance with you with the things that we're trying to do. So we will definitely be connecting. This is the beginning of a long-term relationship.
I love it. Let's do it, man. Let's do it. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all of our attendees today. We thank you for spending your Friday morning, late morning with us. Look forward to getting emails from us for our next event, which will be in May. I believe it's the 21st. This is the third Friday in May. Those are the dates that we have our speaker series each month throughout the rest of this year. So we will be, we now have you, we've captured your information on our mailing list, and we will be sending that information out to keep you informed of our upcoming events. So again, thank you to all of you. Thank you, Dr. Allo. Thank you, Mr. Simmons, our web technician, for making it possible. And we will see you all again in 1 month in May. Take care.
Thank you.